What's up, guys? TCMuze. Let's get into some alternative R&B with a little bit of neo soul flavor. All right, guys, today we're getting into some alternative R&B inspired by the artist Amaria and her song Begging. I kind of like that it has a bit of a dance pulse, but still has some R&B accompaniments with it, with the harmonies. All right, let me go ahead and show you what we're working with here. 75% sensitivity and strength, 16th notes, no triplets. We're at a BPM of 96, and we're not really in a designated key. We're kind of vamping between a G sharp minor and a C sharp minor. For the drums, I'm using Native Instruments Rudiments. I'm using the Rain Man kit. One thing of note is that there's 2 kicks and 2 snares in this kit. I went ahead and chained them together just to get a heavier, beefier sound. The other thing that I did is I went into the effects for the kick, and they have a Super GT. I took the saturation and I increased it just to make it, punch a little bit harder. Let's go ahead and get this rhythm in, and I'll get back to you. Hey man, if you made it this far, do me a favor, like and subscribe. Appreciate you. Cool. I think we need a little bit more rhythmic push. So what I'm gonna do is put some perks in, go into my perks VST of choice, of course, session percussionist from Native Instruments. I'm using the Good Energy preset. We're just gonna go ahead and hold down a couple of the rhythms just to give some more rhythmic pulse and interest to the beat that we got thus far. Let's go ahead and tap this in. All right, looks like I was able to get that in. Had a little bit of a flub there, but we're just gonna delete it and keep it moving. All right, next up, we're gonna do this a little unusual. We're gonna do the bass first because we want the bass to kind of be the driver of this track harmonically. So for the bass, I'm using Mondo bass. I'm using the DB Escondido natural bass, or excuse me, natural jazz. And then I'm processing it a little bit over here. Let me show you. Boom. I'm using Arturia's Disc Cold Fire. I'm using the bubble drum preset. Probably made a few little changes in there just to give it a little bit of bump and fuzz to help it cut through the mix a little bit. All right, next up, we're gonna start putting in some harmonics. We're gonna use a Rhodes, the Stage 73V from Arturia. And what we're gonna do is just vamp between a G sharp minor 7 and a C minor 7. And then we're gonna walk back down, but I'll get back into all of that at the end of the video. I'll explain the chords and a little bit of the theory at the end of the video. But for right now, let's just go ahead and get this in. All right, let's reinforce that Rhodes with a piano. We're using Arturia's Piano V, Bill's Best Jazz preset. We're just gonna use the same chords again, just played a little differently over the top, just to give a little bit of reinforcement to what we already have. All right, I think I want to use just a little bit of strings to help embellish over the top to break up a little bit of the monotony. For those strings, we're using Session Strings Pro 2 from Native Instruments. We're using the Ensemble Traditional preset. Let's go ahead, sprinkle these in just a little bit, some chords, and then some broken up chords descending. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, but let's go back in and you can tell right there versus right there. I think the velocities are just a little bit off on that second one. So let's just take that and just move these down a little bit. All right, next up, we're putting in a flute using Native Instruments Woodwind Solo, the Symphony Essentials, using the Flute Essentials preset. We're just gonna put a little bit on top just to add the last little sprinkles to the beat before we get to sequencing. All right, I like what we got. I think we did enough to be dangerous. We're not gonna do too much. Let me just go ahead and put a sequence together and then we'll play it out. Give me a second. All right, we got a nice little sequence together, not doing too much, just pulling out some mutes and whatnot to separate the chorus from like a verse section. Of course, we would flush it out a little bit more, but I think we got something nice here that represents that alternative R&B, neo-soul type of vibe that we're looking to get. All right, let's check it out. Oh, don't forget, I'm going to explain the keys after the demo, so stick around for that. TCM. You made it to the lesson after the session. Do me a favor, if you made it this far, drop a keyboard emoji down in the comments. All right, let's get to breaking down these chords. Like I said earlier, we're not really in a key, we're just vamping between this G sharp minor and then going to this C minor. All right, so what we're doing here is we're using thirds movements. So basically, we're just taking the same chord characteristic, which is a minor 7, and taking it from the G sharp, moving it up, moving it up a major third, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is four semitones. So we're going from G sharp to C, right? And then, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me throw up the chords that we're going to use in this sequence. All right, so here are the chords. We're using a G sharp minor 7, then a G sharp minor 9. You can kind of treat this as the same chord. I'm just giving a little bit of embellishment by throwing in the ninth the second time that I play it. Then after that, we're going to use a C minor 9. We're going to play that two different ways. And then at the end, we're going to play an A major 7 followed by, an A minor 7 followed by a G major 7. All right, I'll show you exactly what we're doing, but the main thing that I want to get you to take away from this is that we're just vamping between this G sharp minor 7, minor 9, whichever we use, to this C minor 9. So we're using the same chord characteristics in third movements, and then I'll get around how I turn it around at the end. So let's go ahead and spell these chords out. All right, so the G sharp minor 9, or the G sharp minor 7 that we're starting with will be a G sharp, B, a D sharp, and an F, right? And then when we play the G sharp minor 9, we're going to play it rootless. It's going to be those. We'll take the chord that we have here, or the key notes that we have here. We'll remove the G sharp, and then we'll add up here an A sharp, which will make it the ninth, right? Let me just show you what I'm talking about, switching between the G sharp minor 7 and the G sharp minor 9. So here's the minor 7. Now here's the minor ninth. Now I'll switch between the two and you can kind of hear the difference. All right, now after we play that, we're now going to move to that C minor 9, and we're going to play that two different ways. We're going to play it using a B flat, a D, an E flat, and a G. Sounds like this. And then we're going to sprinkle on top of it another inversion. It's still going to be a C minor 9, but we're playing an E flat, G, a B flat, and a D. So those are the first two chords, but we're using different voicings for each. You see the you see the G sharp minor 7, you see the G sharp minor 9, then you see the C sharp minor 9, the first way that we play it, and the C sharp minor 9, the second way we play it. Then in order to get back to that G sharp from the C sharp, what we're going to do is we're going to do what I would call an encapsulation of the target, which we want to target getting back to that G sharp minor 9. So what I'm going to do is I'll play an A minor 7, which is a A, C, E, and then a G. Sounds like this. Then after that, we're going to play a G major 7th, which will be G, D, B, F sharp. And then at the end, we just turn back around and get back from that G7, that G major 7, back to the G minor 7, which we're going to just go from here to there. Our pinky doesn't move. You see that? So those are the 6 chords that we're using. Let me go ahead and play it so you can hear what it sounds like in action. All right, those are the chords. Thanks for hanging out for the lesson after the session. If you want to hear or see more videos like this, click over here.